Overcrowding in prison is an ongoing issue in our crime-ridden country. With a prison population of over 160,000, the parole board is releasing offenders at an alarming rate. Almost 20 people are released every month. We spoke to Grahamstown's crime intelligence officer, Captain Milanda Kutsa, about the issues.
In South Africa is the fact that we have a limited number of correctional services and they are full to the brim. So a lot of things are classified as not as serious, and then people will be given the opportunity for correctional supervision or for parole, things like that, because the prison is just too full. We have a system where we're making the arrests, people are being sentenced, but even though they serve time, they serve a very short period of time.
Recently, a number of parolees have been rearrested. Experts suggest that our current rehabilitation programs are to blame, as up to 80% of those released end up back behind bars. Kutsa elaborates on a recent case.
One case, for instance, where the old gentleman was stabbed, the man, when we arrested him, said, "Please, I'm just going to plead guilty, I just want to go back to Wynegg. My bed's waiting for me." So it was a matter of, in a way, a cry for help. Let me just get back to that system because it's safe. I'm safe there, I don't have to worry, I've got food, I've got clothes, I've got a bed to stay, a bed to sleep in, and I've got a house, in other words. And that was scary to me, that a person who we've just arrested for a really serious offence can say, "I'm pleading guilty, no problem, I just want to go back inside."
One man knows this life all too well. Fikizine Jibilize served just 12 years of a 36-year sentence and is now serving the rest on parole. He says life outside prison is difficult because he cannot provide for himself. He tells us why offenders often go back to prison.
Obvious. Saxela uba ilife yami ipha ngaphakathi etrongweni analife ngaphandle ngoba pha ngaphakathi etrongweni utya free, wenza everything free, yonke into yapha free. Ngoku apha ngaphandle kufuneka ndispendile, ndithengile, kufuneka ndinxibile, awukwazi.
Jibilize explains more about the root of his criminal ways.
Mna beni-drug addict before, ndirobhile, ndiyenzile hijacking, robberies for uchaya.
After working at St. Albans Maximum Security Prison for almost 9 years, one of their psychologists, who wanted to remain anonymous, explains why he thinks offenders prefer being in prison.
For sure, definitely, they have less responsibility within prison. Often they don't make it so obvious, though. They'll say that they're missing their families or that they're dying to get their work out. But I always had a sense as a psychologist that they had less or virtually no responsibility in prison.
In addition to settling into society, Jibilize says having a criminal record makes it nearly impossible to find a job.
Uphuma ngaphandle, xa ulapha ngaphandle kunzima ufumana umsebenzi ngoba une-criminal record. Then noba athi unga-aplya kuphi, then kunala sentence ithi criminal record, then awukwazi uapply, awukwazi ufumana umsebenzi through ezolantuka. Phethe ifowuni yakho, ndizaphinde ndiyithathe ndingene nayo ngaphakathi etrongweni, ndoyithengisa for something to eat. Ndiphinde maybe ndiyorobha, uyabo, phathe isibhamu ndiyorobha for nditye. Eyibona into ezinjani? Nina ejele ungafumanisa into yobana umntu uya kayi-7, eyi-1.
Ndumiso Nkonki, also an ex-offender, comments on the society's acceptance of parolees.
There's a tendency that if you're coming from outside, from prison, you see, you're coming back, or people, they like to stigmatize you, and then that also, it does have an impact to those parolees.
Members of the community gave their opinion on the parole system.
I feel like when you just say you're in the community now, he's also a bit lost. He or she is a bit lost. He doesn't know where to go. Will he get a job? Because people wouldn't hire him because he's on parole. Everyone, because obviously some people have there's a stigma obviously with the prisoner. So I feel like they should give them something to do.
To my opinion, parole doesn't help. And I don't like it at all because these people come out of jail and do the same things. They never change. So parole is not a good thing. They should just serve their sentence.
Besides the stigma surrounding parolees, the problem starts inside the prison with the lack of rehabilitation.
Correctional services are promoting an effective rehabilitative environment, yet what they aspire to and what happens are two different things. For example, the inmate wants to attend psychological therapy, but there's insufficient psychologists in prison to see him, so he's got to wait maybe over a year before he can participate in a group program.
Kutsa elaborates on the importance of aiding offenders.
Professionally speaking, it's rehabilitation all the way. But I think from a human perspective, a lot of people want to see prison as a punishment because that person has killed someone, that person has raped someone, that person has injured someone, and they need to be punished for it. You know, that's a human response to prison. And how do you rehabilitate someone like that except to teach them a new skill?
We need to come up with programs as a private eye, these diversion programs. They will play a role because we'll provide them with business skills, because people, if they could be economically independent, you understand, not relying on the government to get job opportunities.
There are over 240 prisons in South Africa, and overcrowding is at an extreme level of 137%. Prison rehabilitation and social reintegration are receiving only 5% and 4% respectively from the Correctional Services budget. Security is assigned 54% of the budget, admin 28%, and 9% goes to other costs. 15% of sentenced offenders, which is only 24,000 out of the previously mentioned 160,000 offenders, have regular access to rehabilitation programs. It is clear that the bulk of prison costs are spent on detention and not on rehabilitation. Jibilize tells us what he feels could help him and other offenders once released.
Baba unoba maybe bene company ethile ne ehire i-inmates ne ngoba most of inmates eziphuma ngaphakathi e-prisons neskill ezinye like ziyakwazi uba i-carpentry okanye ziyakwazi ukubeka i-bricklayer nto ezinjalo, abanye bayakwazi uthunga like mna ndakwazi usowa yabo ngomatshini yabo into ezinjalo, but nako ndibethwa i-material nokuthunga uba ndingathunga impahla ndizithengise into ezinjalo. Uba kunoba kwikhampani enjalo ehire i-inmates eziphuma ngaphandle yoma ngaphakathi ejele.
It is clear that there are a lot of problems with our prison system, resulting in higher crime rates and reoffending. Life is already difficult for ex-offenders, but at the end of the day, the rehabilitation programs need to do more to assist those willing to change.
Amajita bendikhula nawo, they got families, they got cars. Look me where I'm staying. Ngoba akho nix azawuyenza. Uzawuhlala apha elokishini enze ntoni? Nothing.